Dear MLB The Show, what happened? How did this game evolve from being a hidden gem among the other sports games to a game where its longest die-hard players end up disappointed on a regular basis? What did SCS do over the past 5+ years that has left its community burnt out? Before I get into it, I do want to mention this is not a hate video. My goal is just have an open conversation about my relationship with MLB The Show over the past 6 years. Also, I am a Diamond Dynasty diehard at heart, so I am going to be talking about that a lot. But don't worry, Road to the Show and franchise folk, you're not forgotten here. But let's get right into it. When did I even start playing MLB The Show? So I played it all the way back in the PS2 and PSP days. I played MLB 2005 before it was even called The Show. And then I'd play every MLB The Show until 2009. I would get a PS Vita and play some MLB 13 and 14, but I'd eventually get a PS4 in 2016, mainly so I could play the show. And I had heard rumblings of it having its own mode similar to NBA 2K's My Team, which I did play a bit before. Shout out Chris Move. I play a bit of MLB 16 and 17 and dabble in a bit of Diamond Dynasty, but 2017 was the year Fortnite blew up and I was kind of addicted to that game. So while I was streaming every day trying to become the next ninja, there was actually a core community of players that was slowly growing in the show. So Diamond Dynasty started in MLB 12, and year by year it was adding more and more features that kind of shaped it into what it became today. It started with a bunch of generic Dynasty players and current MLB players. They had card collections where you'd earn a card for collecting other cards. There are also a whole bunch of things that they tested out back then that many of which I don't even understand how they worked. Year by year it was forming its identity, and in that more and more people were even learning that the mode existed. Creators started to stream and post videos about the game, and this core community of Diamond Dynasty players was slowly growing. But like I said before, while this was happening, I was never really fully committed to Diamond Dynasty. I really didn't get it. But when I did plan to give it a good shot in MLB 18, oh boy, I chose the wrong game to do that. This small but growing community really did not like MLB 18. And it was because SCS took a big gamble on something new. Immortal cards. Basically, they released 99 overall players day one, but you had to grind a ton of tough missions and collect a whole bunch of collectible items, not even players in many cases, to actually get them. You basically had to play the game all the time to get the good cards. I remember personally playing the game, going up against teams stacked of all immortal players, while I was sending out a real crappy team led by 85 Gleyber Torres, shout out my goat by the way, and wanting to cry. Oh, and this game really rewarded power as an attribute to a very ridiculous level. Bronze Ryan Schimpf and Joey Gallo were some of the most appealing players to use. Bronze players. So that core community that they had been building up over the last 5+ years was very upset. Many of them to this day still call MLB 18 the worst game. See, little old me just went back to playing Fortnite and didn't really care as much, but I wasn't really fully bought into the game at this point. Well, that was until I decided to actually stream it myself one day.
Daddy Dimmu TV with a party of 70? Aw. Thanks for the raid.
I just discovered that Diamond Dynasty had a core community of players. I literally had no idea it existed until this point. And as someone who loved making content in his free time, I actually dove all in to MLB The Show to end MLB 18. MLB 19 would come around and oh boy, what a comeback of a game. SCS released Signature Series, which were basically very good diamond cards for a ton of players that were far more obtainable. The game without a doubt was very no money spent friendly. Cards that were very expensive at one point would very typically get very affordable just weeks down the road. And gameplay would get a bit better too, but it did have a long way to go still. MLB 20 would carry that same momentum and add perfect hits, an even larger variety of obtainable diamonds, and honestly really helped a lot of people get through that 2020 pandemic year. These 2 years were truly when I fell in love with this game. I loved how rewarding my time felt, the variety of fun cards there were to use, and how I could honestly even use a card like a Diamond Joey Gallo and do really well. It had card variety, it allowed me to find my own players I liked, and I didn't even need to throw in any money to do it. I just got all this stuff while playing like I normally would. I literally played and streamed this game so much, I very irrationally went full-time in content creating. So for me, this was my beginning of MLB The Show, the very foundation that made me fall in love with the game. But I always look back to these two games the most fondly. And I know that many people feel the exact same way about MLB 21 and 22. They were the first years the show released on Xbox and then Switch. And yes, I still did enjoy these games. However, I would play them more than before since I went full-time as a creator, and I was virtually playing every single day. See, playing a game this much kind of led to me getting burnt out. I played the same game virtually every day for 4 years. I reached every accomplishment that I wanted to do in the game, and I was just spitting out content. But suddenly, I just lost all the motivation to keep playing. Was I really starting to hate MLB The Show? Was I made to keep making content? Why do I hate this thing that I've loved for so long? And what I think I ended up landing on was the right solution. Play the game less. I think deep down, I wanted to love the game in and out like I did 2 years ago, but as many games do, they evolve. Players' demands change a lot over time. So while MLB 21 and 22 were fun games, they still had some pretty strong negatives that really got to me. These years, freezes really became a problem. Some cards like Edward Cabrera, Trey Turner, and Jacob deGrom were so dominant, they were used all year. In response to that, a lot of easy-to-earn content started to lose its value. Heck, they released the worst 99 overall Ken Griffey Jr. I have seen ever in my life, after months of people waiting for a good card of his. As I started to play the game more, the small things started to really annoy me more. Here we go, the stupid changeup! I can't stand this stupid changeup! Very early, very early, very early, very early, very early. Lock it in. Not much felt flashy and new anymore. I think it is something that OG core community had started to feel come MLB 22. And of course, this led to MLB 23. Many of us were optimistic on the upcoming sets and seasons. The World Baseball Classic content was super new and exciting. And of course, for me, Derek Jeter, my favorite player of all time, was finally in the game. And many of us enjoyed that first month or so of the game. It felt like we were getting that fun end game run of content, but all year. Well, that was until the sets and seasons ran its course. People did not enjoy not being able to use their cards in the next season. Many of the best cards were in packs, and the game became a game of grinding for filler cards to get the very few good ones. For the crowd of people like me who really loved this game after a rough MLB 18, this game was a pretty big step back. MLB 24 did try to right the ship and improve upon the format with seasons, but many of the same problems existed. All of this paired with very similar feeling gameplay, the biggest graphics changes being hair motion. The game was really starting to become polarizing. On one hand, you had people who have been playing it for a while who really weren't fans of all the changes, but then you had people who were maybe bought on board in 23 and 24 who really liked it. I didn't love the content of MLB 23 and 24, but like I said, I intentionally stepped back from playing as often as I did. I was just trying to find the fun in whatever they came out with, which finally leads us to MLB 25. SDS made it very clear that it's a response to the community. Not only was it literally in their game description, they shifted back to the older power creep format, added old school favorites like Ted Williams and Carlos Beltran, and finally made a more competitive weekend classic mode. I really wanted to sink my teeth into this game. This felt like the year that I'd love Diamond Dynasty in and out like I used to back in MLB 19 and 20. But it's June 17th, the day I'm recording this, and it's just about as polarizing as it has been the last few years. There are constant collections where you have to buy and grind for a ton of cards just to get a few cards you'd actually want as a consistent player. Every week, there's another chase pack with a super expensive fan favorite name in it. And if you're someone trying to get that live series collection done, no money spent, good luck. Thing is, SDS is releasing more content than ever. There are more things to do, more cards to try, and even more modes to play. There are plenty of things to be positive about. However, I think they're losing that community trust. In 2023, you experiment with a new content style for 1 year. That's one thing. In 2024, you double down, try it again. In 2025, you then release a game for the community, but keep many of the core elements that people didn't like about that format, and you're probably gonna really upset some people. It's why I think many of the OG creators were laughing at the underwhelming content that they came out with the other week. Back when I first got into this game in 2019, it got so much praise for being a fun, rewarding, no money spent friendly sports game. While I don't play Madden or any of the other sports games, seeing Shohei Ohtani still go for 600,000 stubs, while the current World Series awards, the cards you get for one of the most difficult tasks in the game, go for 70,000 stubs, does feel like it's heading that direction at least. And listen, I get it. They gotta get the bag. But whenever the gameplay remains similar for the 4th year now, the game still has inconsistent connection problems, and the other offline modes see minimal changes outside of a couple hours of gameplay and Road to the Show, but also the game is among the top sellers every year since MLB 21. How does the regular player not feel like you're trying to pull as much money off them as possible? Okay, this isn't meant to be a rant on SDS making money. I think SDS is losing touch with that die-hard core community. There is some regular disconnect occurring between us longtime players and the folks over there. When I watch a stream and try to get sold that this Joey Gallo is gonna be worth my time grinding for him, but you also release a 200,000 stub plus Vlad Jr. that absolutely dumps on him, I feel like there's a misunderstanding in what the regular players actually want versus what SDS thinks we want. And trust me, I want to love this game in its current form myself. Something about it just really turns me off when I know deep down that I don't like these things. And when this community, especially us who've been at it for a long time, gets let down time after time after time over the span of 3 years, then the negatives are really gonna stick out like a sore thumb. And I think that's what's happened a lot here in 2025. And I know I'm talking a lot here about this OG, old school MLB The Show player, but at least my Twitter following of people who consistently keep up with the content of the game, a large majority of them got into this game before sets and seasons even started, and this general pack trend really kind of got built into the mode. And listen, I understand trying to change things up to keep things fresh for the people who have been playing the game for a while. I know back in 22, we were getting pretty tired of the content and how it was releasing the same way for then the 3rd year in a row. But that wasn't just because it was the power creep or packs weren't the most fun and exciting. It was that a lot of people felt like their time grinding things like programs and stuff really wasn't worth it. For us players who really got into this game, they want every card that they earn to feel worth their time. And when you look back to MLB 18, the game that core community really hated, it was just a game of collecting a lot of useless things for one card that actually mattered at the end. This is the same type of thing as MLB 18 with these constant legend and flashback collection things, but we're making them players that have no hitting attributes. I think they try to make this mode unique with its card collections because it just how baseball cards go and why people love card collecting. But I think it's clear that a lot of core players want to make sure the things that they are directly grinding for is also worth their time. I think it's why people loved MLB 21. As much as some of us complained about seeing the same few cards all the time, cards like Trey Turner, Jacob deGrom, and Edward Cabrera were good cards that were worth the time commitment to get them. And that time commitment was very low. Like you could get those cards in an hour and then use them all year. Yes, I think SCS needs to do a bit to kind of course correct for these die-hardcore players like me who've been around for a while. I think the cards that you directly earn as rewards from directly grinding programs and mini seasons and diamond quests should be a little bit more appealing than what they recently have been. I also think that something that SCS used to do pretty well was reward you in later content by giving you plenty of the old packs that existed. They need to do that way more frequently and a more significant way. So cards that have been out for weeks or even a month plus at this point don't remain over 100k because we're moving past them in the power creep. But since you have them as a special insert or a chase pack, people never pull them often enough. Hi, editor Scann here. I would just like to add that over the past week that I've been working on this video, SCS has actually done a pretty good job at releasing some collections that are obtainable without having to buy any rare cards and making some more of that intermediate content more worth it. So good stuff. SCS wants us to play the game all the time. They want us to feel that FOMO when a new card comes out. If you're not enjoying the game, but you have this inner feeling that you just have to complete a piece of content just because you have to, not for the fun of it itself, I recommend just taking a step back like I have and try some other games that are out there. Maybe even take a stab at a franchise or Road to the Show. because as someone who's been a Diamond Dynasty addict for a while, I have actually had a bit of fun doing that in some free time. Just wait for the cards that you need to get cheap and way easier to collect over a span of few weeks at a time. As I'm recording this, there is literally a flash sale going down, which is the perfect type of day to buy cards like this. I know this sounds like straight up advice, but the amount of people that I know that just play the game to play it or do these things because they feel like they need to, even though they really don't, it would shock you. They've done a really good job of getting a lot of us fully bought into this live content cycle of feeling like we need to complete everything. And SCS, if you happen to be watching this, hi. On a real note, I do want to be clear that this video is not intended to be a personal shot at anyone, and I really do love the game you guys put out at its core. I just hope that this video offers some perspective that I've honestly been bottling up for the longest time. Also, please add online franchise. Please, I'm begging you. I do still plan to make content on the show, but I will admit, it's been a bit tougher to come up with more fun, creative ideas like I have been. So I do plan on actually making some more variety content that may not be posted here on this channel. It's something I've been waiting to try for the longest time, and as someone who's literally wanted to be a content creator forever, I think I'd have a lot of fun doing these other things. I haven't sat down and made a mostly scripted video like this in years, so I hope I really got the right point across. And honestly, I do believe MLB The Show can get back in the good graces of a lot of us. And heck, this whole thing may even be more of a Sony problem than an SDS problem. But at the end of the day, I really do want to love the show just like I did 5 years ago. And hopefully that can actually happen again.